Gene Kelly's name conjures images of swirling umbrellas, joyous tap routines, and an era of Hollywood musicals that sparkled with pure, unfiltered optimism. Yet, beneath that polished, toe-tapping exterior lay a complex figure whose unyielding passion sometimes erupted into a fearsome reputation. How did this dance luminary manage to captivate global audiences while simultaneously putting more than a few nerves on edge? Let's delve into the life of a man who redefined the movie musical and left countless co-stars both in awe and in trepidation. Our story begins in the working-class neighborhoods of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Gene Kelly was born into an Irish-German household on August 23, 1912. His father earned a modest living as a phonograph salesman, but it was Gene's mother who had the grand vision. While other boys chased baseballs and footballs, young Gene was enrolled, alongside his brother, in dance classes. At the time, being a male dancer wasn't exactly considered cool. The Kelly brothers were often mocked, and they weren't shy about defending themselves in scrappy street brawls. In that environment, Gene discovered two driving forces: the need to prove his toughness and an unexpected love for rhythm once the music started. If his early days were filled with resistance, he famously tried quitting dance after repeated teasing. Gene soon found a powerful incentive: girls. He realized that a boy who could dance wasn't just ridiculed, he was also intriguing to potential admirers. This flicker of motivation propelled him forward. Even so, his interests were broad. By his teen years, Kelly was a skilled hockey player who briefly played at a semi-professional level, a fan of baseball who dreamed of suiting up for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and a budding gymnast who appreciated the raw physicality of sport. These varied athletic pursuits later shaped the dance style that would make him famous. When the Great Depression hit in 1929, economic hardship forced many families, including the Kellys, to make tough choices. Gene had been enrolled at Penn State with plans of studying journalism, but the financial strain led him back to Pittsburgh and the University of Pittsburgh. Undeterred by setbacks, he juggled odd jobs, digging ditches, working at a soda fountain, helping carpenters, just to keep paying for his classes. Yet dance remained his true calling. His family already had a small dance academy, and by age 19, Gene was teaching students alongside his younger brother Fred. As the star instructor, Gene was soon a local celebrity in his own right. His mother was so proud of his talent, she renamed the studio the Gene Kelly School of Dance. Still, teaching alone couldn't satisfy his ambition. He wanted to perform on bigger stages, choreograph grand numbers, and direct shows that would push boundaries. Always hungry to refine his skills, Gene took summer ballet courses in Chicago, absorbing the formal technique that would add polish to his more athletic style. Though he briefly considered law school, it wasn't long before he dropped out, drawn by the magnetic pull of performing. With unwavering determination, he set his sights on New York City, a place brimming with theatrical opportunity. Arriving in New York in 1938, Kelly pounded the pavement for work, eventually landing a chorus role in Cole Porter's "Leave It to Me." Though the part was small, it offered a pivotal chance to demonstrate his vibrant stage presence. When famed producer David O. Selznick later offered him a Hollywood contract without the usual screen test, Kelly saw his path to bigger and brighter things. MGM soon acquired his contract, and in 1942, he starred opposite Judy Garland in For Me and My Gal. His dynamic energy and approachable charm were like a shock to the system for audiences used to more genteel leading men. Gene's big breakout, however, occurred when he was briefly loaned to Columbia Pictures to star in CoverGirl, 1944. Freed from MGM's stricter rules, Kelly seized the opportunity to experiment with choreography, culminating in the legendary alter ego scene. Through innovative special effects, viewers saw Gene perform a dance duet with a spectral version of himself, symbolizing inner conflict and unspoken ambition. Audiences had never witnessed such a marriage of technical wizardry and raw performance. Kelly was now more than just a leading man. He was a visionary who wanted to expand the boundaries of cinematic dance. Returning to MGM with a new sense of creative license, Kelly ventured even further into uncharted territory. In Anchors Aweigh, 1945, he famously danced alongside Jerry, the animated mouse from the Tom and Jerry series. This blend of live action and hand-drawn characters was groundbreaking at the time, signaling Kelly's eagerness to combine technology and dance in ways nobody had seen before. He believed that movie musicals could be cinematic experiences, not just stage shows captured on film. Later projects like The Pirate, 1948, featured elaborate fantasy ballets, brimming with color and daring camera angles. Kelly wanted each musical number to do more than just entertain. It had to tell a story. He choreographed scenes that moved like living paintings, weaving together high-energy leaps, gentle pirouettes, and comedic interludes, all filtered through his unstoppable imagination. Every production felt like a statement piece, one in which Kelly consistently raised the bar for everyone involved. With brilliance often comes intensity, and Kelly was no exception. As his star rose, stories surfaced about his fierce perfectionism. Colleagues whispered about his rapid mood swings and his refusal to accept anything less than flawless execution. Some found him inspiring, while others found him terrifying. He dismissed speculation that he was cruel, claiming instead that he simply demanded the absolute best from himself and those around him. Yet on set, his forcefulness could be overwhelming, pushing co-stars to physical and emotional extremes. This reputation hit a peak during the filming of Singin' in the Rain, 1952. Today, it stands as one of the greatest musicals in cinematic history. But behind the scenes, it was a crucible of grueling choreography and countless takes. Debbie Reynolds, then just 19 and more accustomed to gymnastics than advanced tap, later confessed that she cried under a piano at one point, driven to exhaustion and frustration by Kelly's relentless expectations. Veteran entertainer Donald O'Connor had to reprise an acrobatic wall flip multiple times after a day of filming had supposedly captured the perfect take, because the original footage was lost. To O'Connor, the repeated ordeal was nothing short of punishing, but to Kelly it was merely necessary to achieve cinematic magic. If the cast labored under Kelly's unwavering eye, the results can be seen in the breathtaking final product. Filming the iconic Singin' in the Rain scene tested even Kelly himself. Battling a reported fever of 103 degrees, he stubbornly refused to halt production. Instead, he threw his entire body into the choreography, improvising memorable moves we still celebrate today. Despite scorching lights and water-soaked clothes, he wore a grin that convinced audiences he was having the time of his life. Yet, the tension behind the camera was undeniable. Kelly frequently insisted on just one more take, a phrase his co-stars learned could mean dozens more attempts, until each step, gesture, and facial expression met his precise standards. He was equally exacting when it came to the final soundtrack. In some instances, Debbie Reynolds's tap sounds were overdubbed with Kelly's own, because he felt she hadn't nailed the perfect rhythm. This revelation, when it eventually came out, confirmed his reputation as someone who wouldn't settle for a single flaw in the end product, even if it meant overshadowing his co-stars' efforts. Beyond the big projects, there were multiple stories of friction between Kelly and various individuals in Hollywood. Some ensemble dancers adored his creativity, but dreaded his wrath if they missed a cue. Critics pointed to Fred Astaire, another master of on-screen dance, who was just as diligent yet seemingly more affable in his collaborative style. But Kelly had no interest in emulating Astaire's suave, airy persona. He wanted to forge a more down-to-earth, muscular identity for male dancers. He believed that dance and film should communicate power as much as elegance. As is often the case in show business, the rumors took on a life of their own. Did Kelly actually scream at minor mistakes? Or were these tales exaggerated by a few disgruntled dancers? Probably a bit of both. Kelly himself admitted he could be tough, but maintained he never asked anyone to do what he wouldn't do himself. Indeed, he was known to rehearse for hours on end, pushing through injuries and illness, all in the name of perfecting a sequence. Still, there's no denying that fear was a frequent motivator on his sets, fueling an electric undercurrent that contributed to the intensity of his films. Away from the spotlight, Kelly navigated a personal life that included 3 marriages and 3 children. While no major public scandals engulfed him, rumors circulated that he brought the same high expectations into his home that he displayed at the studio. Depending on who you asked, this led to either a disciplined household or a tense one. In any case, Kelly remained protective of his privacy. Deeply affected by a 1939 trip to Mexico, where he saw stark poverty contrasted with opulent church institutions, he wrestled with his Roman Catholic roots. Although he never formally renounced his faith, he was open about how the experience challenged his view of religious authority. In his later years, as Hollywood's golden age of musicals drew to a close, Kelly shifted focus to directing, choreographing stage shows, and appearing in television specials. He passed on his knowledge to aspiring dancers, many of whom considered him a mentor despite, or perhaps because of, his demanding methods. Suffering a series of strokes and declining health in the mid-1990s, he died in 1996. True to his nature, he left specific instructions that no funeral or public memorial be held, choosing to exit the world quietly after decades in the limelight. Gene Kelly's imprint on cinema is immense and enduring. Films like Singin' in the Rain, On the Town, and An American in Paris remain classics, frequently praised for their seamless integration of plot, character, and dance. Kelly's style, equal parts athletic and graceful, expanded the very definition of what a movie musical could be. He didn't just perform, he also directed, choreographed, and experimented relentlessly with visual storytelling techniques, such as dynamic camera movements and elaborate set designs. Modern filmmakers continue to borrow from his innovations, and professional dancers study his routines to learn how power and refinement can coexist so harmoniously. Yet, the stories of harsh words, tearful rehearsals, and endless retakes can't be overlooked. Was Kelly's drive so intense that it bordered on cruelty? For some, yes. Yet many also insisted that working with him was a privilege, a chance to achieve levels of artistry they never thought possible. Debbie Reynolds eventually recognized that his exacting standards contributed to her growth as a dancer and performer, even if the process was brutal. Her memories echoed those of others who, while lamenting the stress, nonetheless revered Kelly's transformative impact on their careers. Any exploration of Gene Kelly's life must grapple with a paradox. He was both a beloved Hollywood icon who enchanted millions and a stern taskmaster who terrorized some colleagues. It's likely that the two sides are inseparable. The very intensity that allowed him to conceive and execute audacious projects also spurred him to demand absolute perfection. While some artists find a softer balance, Kelly seemed to derive creative fuel from a certain level of tension. In the realm of classic movie musicals, Kelly's name stands next to Fred Astaire as one of the great pillars. Yet the contrasts between them are stark. Astaire epitomized debonair coolness, while Kelly introduced a raw physicality that forever changed the audience's perception of a male dancer. He made it acceptable, admirable even, for a man to leap across the screen in fitted clothes and a jaunty smile, bridging the gap between tough street kid and polished stage virtuoso. Few personalities in Hollywood history have managed to combine such technical flair with the emotional punch Kelly delivered in each performance. Whether you admire his fearless dedication or question his methods, it's impossible to deny the influence he continues to have on musical theater, film, and popular culture as a whole. From dancing alongside cartoon mice to choreographing dreamlike ballets that pop off the screen in vibrant color, he showed that dance could be as thrilling as any action sequence or dramatic confrontation. Ultimately, Gene Kelly's story is one of extraordinary ambition and the costs that come with it. He shattered barriers for male dancers, reshaped movie choreography, and created musical numbers that still dazzle audiences decades later. And if the people around him sometimes felt the sting of that unstoppable drive, it may well be the price of blazing so bright. Even now, dance studios around the world pay homage to his signature slides, spins, and leaps, emblems of a legacy that refused to bend to ordinary limitations. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Gene Kelly's life and legacy. If you found this story enlightening, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with friends who love classic Hollywood tales. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, so you never miss our deep dives into the captivating histories of cinema's most intriguing stars. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and remember that behind every spotlight, there's a story worth uncovering.